What happens when a sitting Democrat senator absolutely blindsides and obliterates a far-left media host live on national television? And what if that were just the beginning? What if since then he's been repeatedly throwing his own party under the bus? And what do these shocking moments reveal about the seismic shift happening in American politics right now? Make sure to stick with me to the very end of this video because we're about to see something absolutely extraordinary, something we literally never see. A major Democrat openly telling the truth, and the casualty is his own imploding party. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, back in the studio, here to help you make sense of the madness as the far left desperately tries to stop the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age that you're making happen all over the world. So if you want a front row seat on how you are changing the world in ways you never even imagined, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. The one and only Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman is once again turning heads, but this time he has literally everyone stunned after breaking ranks and voting repeatedly and consistently to end the 41-day government shutdown initiated by his own party. He went on ABC's The View, that panel of ultra-repulsive woke sycophants who decided it would be a good idea to confront him on betraying the Democrats. And let's just say, things could not have gone worse for these woke wackos.
It was a horrific mistake. Governor Gavin Newsom called it pathetic and a surrender. Poll after poll found more Americans on both sides of the aisle blaming Republicans. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene blamed the GOP. As you mentioned, Democrats had big wins last week, so you had momentum. Why give in now? Why bring a butter knife to a gunfight? Are you willing to gamble that the GOP will negotiate on health care in good faith once the government reopens? Because if that gamble is wrong, 500,000 Pennsylvanians that you represent, their health care costs will skyrocket if you are wrong. And I believe you are wrong.
Well, first of all, MTG is quite literally the last person in America that I'm going to take advice or to get their kinds of my leadership and values from. And now if Democrats are celebrating crazy pants like that, then that's on them. And now I don't need a lecture. I don't need a lecture from whether it's Bernie or the governor in California, because they are representing very deep blue kinds of populations. And a lot of those things were part of the extreme. And now remember, what really needs to win, the big win, is involving my state and other states and those things. And why have we arrived here after the election a year ago? We got to forget some of the things that cost us that election. Or now, for me, it's like, that's why I'm trying to remind people that kinds of the extremism, we can't return to those kind of things and realize we need to find a way forward. And I would like to, rather than cite MTG, I'm going to cite one of the new governor-elects saying that my election is not a green light to continue the shutdown, because I promise you, this isn't a political game. It is viewed by many of us, but the reality is 42 million Americans now not sure where their next meal is going to come from, and because we vote like that, or people that haven't been paid for 5 weeks now, and that kinds of chaos. Those workers have to borrow more than $500 million, from their credit union just to pay their bills now. So for me, we're in the middle of this.
Senator, I got to ask you to hold up.
Wow. I mean, Fetterman's response was absolutely devastating there. But point of order. Take note what the Democrats always do when someone on our side makes a comment or two, like Marjorie Taylor Greene did, that appeared critical of Trump and the Republicans. What do Democrats always do? They always weaponize it, and always weaponize it against those they think are their enemies. Because that's what Democrats do. They are what we call radical perspectivalists. That's the technical term. They simply cannot think in nuance. They're literally incapable of it. You're either with them or you're against them. And they purposely got MTG to say a couple of disparaging things against Trump and the GOP for the precise purpose of weaponizing her words. This is why she was such a political idiot to go on their show. But that said, Fetterman didn't back down. He reminded everyone in that posh LA studio that the nation is not California. The nation as a whole does not reflect the ultra-woke values that so many of our coastal elite revel in California. Just ask your former Senator Kamala Harris. Americans far more reflect the political sentiments of Pennsylvanians than they do Californians. And I love what he said. Fetterman said, I'm not going to be lectured by anyone. I'm not going to be lectured by any governor or any senator that represents populations far more to the left than mainstream Americans. And mainstream Americans wanted this shutdown, this utterly pointless, absurd Schumer shutdown to end. That was a brilliant response. And to Sonny Hostin's point that healthcare premiums are about to explode because of this December 31st expiration of the Obamacare tax subsidies, Republicans are going to cause all this pain and sorrow. Fetterman, in another interview, went on to point out that it was actually the Democrats. He says this, the Democrats who purposely designed the Obamacare tax subsidies to expire. Fetterman was just on NPR's podcast, All Things Considered, which of course should be renamed Some Things Considered, or Left-Wing Things Considered, right? And he reportedly stunned the interviewer when the topic of the expiring tax subsidies came up. Quote, it was the Democrats. This is Fetterman. It was the Democrats who designed those tax credits to expire at the end of this year. That's the Democrat Party. It's not something Republicans are taking away. They're saying we can have a conversation to extend them, and I do hope we should. And I think many of their constituents are going to be impacted too. And that's why I think that's a way forward without dropping our entire country into this kind of chaos, referring to the shutdown. Yeah, so I'm just going to say it. After reading those words, I have not heard it. I just read the transcript. While that response to Sonny Hostin was certainly amazing, nevertheless, it was a self-defense, right? Fetterman was trying to justify himself. He had to give an account as to why he voted in a way that so offended an ultra-woke wacko like Sonny Hostin. But that response to the NPR reporter regarding the Democrats deliberately voting to cause Obamacare tax subsidies to expire, that this is not the Republicans' fault, this is the Democrats' fault. I'm sorry, that's it. That's it. That's all I need to hear. This guy, Fetterman, is the real deal. He is a politician who is refusing to spin. He's refusing to play the Democrat game of gaslighting and deliberate deception. What he just said there wasn't just true, it was brave. It was noble. Because he, John Fetterman, a Democrat politician, explicitly told the truth, even though he knew the truth clearly hurts his own party politically. No more gaslighting, no more passing the blame like our broken healthcare system likes to do, right? They push the pills, the injections, the quick fixes that make big pharma rich, but then they leave you sick, dependent, and often hopeless, right? They tell you, eat less, exercise more, and then when it doesn't work, they blame you. Meanwhile, your metabolism gets wrecked, your energy crashes, and you feel stuck. I mean, it's obviously not your fault. It's a byproduct of a broken system. But here's the amazing news with that. You can break free, just like I did with PhD weight loss. Gang, PhD weight loss helped me lose over 60 pounds. I kid you not. The proof is in the pudding. Should I say that? I don't know. And the results are absolutely amazing. And they were absolutely amazing all throughout the entire process. I was able to come off my cholesterol meds, my blood pressure meds, and I don't snore anymore. My wife's very happy about that. It's true. I sleep better. I feel younger. And I did it without big pharma. I did it without any meds, without any injections, and without starving myself. In fact, I rarely felt hungry. It was one of the easiest things I've ever done. This is about taking back control of your health, not relying on a broken system, not being a slave to prescriptions for life. At PhD, you'll discover how to work with your body, not against it. I mean, this is real lasting weight loss done with the natural way. So this is our chance to reclaim our health, to take back control from a system that profits when we stay sick, tired, and overweight. At PhD Weight Loss, you'll learn things like why stress, hormones, and thyroid issues block fat loss, and why cookie-cutter diets fail, and how to finally get a plan tailored to your metabolism. How real food, real support, and their unique metabolic reset system retrains your body to burn fat first, not sugar. And here's the best part. You're not going to be hungry. You won't crave sugar, and you'll finally feel in control again. I know I did. So if you're sick of feeling stuck, if you're ready to finally lose the weight, get off the meds, and reclaim your life, I cannot recommend PhD Weight Loss enough. I'm living proof. It works. And only for Dr. Turley listeners, when you call them right now and mention Turley, you'll get 2 extra weeks of the program absolutely free. And then you get 15% off when you fully commit. Plus, when you fully commit, you'll get their success guarantee in writing, so you can step into this with total confidence. Give them a call right now or text, mention Turley, take back your health, your energy, and your freedom.
He's very astute. I don't know what happened to him. He had a terrible stroke. And remember that debate with Dr. Oz? He was unable. It was like Joe Biden. And he made a miraculous recovery. And in that recovery, some new neurons were reignited. They were reconnected. And the result was he changed from kind of a hard leftist to a centrist.
Very few people realize just how dramatic John Fetterman's evolution has been. I mean, back in 2022, he was like he was the national progressive champion. He actually outflanked Connor Lamb to get the Democrat nomination by convincing the base that he would be counted on to advance the far left agenda. And they were right to believe it at the time. He was a big Bernie Sanders endorser, proudly identified himself as progressive all throughout his campaign. But then, stunningly, just something seemed to happen. Today, Fetterman explicitly rejects that label. He actually refers to himself increasingly, I kid you not, as America First. Somebody who always puts country before party. Fetterman has been opening up of late, crediting the stroke that he had a few years back with just giving him a new sense of life, a newfound freedom to speak his mind, describing that near-death experience as teaching him not to fear political blowback and giving him extraordinary courage to stand up against party interests and defend the people instead. I mean, since recovering, Fetterman has adopted positions that have frankly horrified his former progressive allies. Unwavering support for Israel during the Gaza war, calls for stricter border security and immigration, demands that Democrats acknowledge the immigration crisis. I mean, his transformation particularly manifested after the October 7th Hamas attacks. So unlike progressive colleagues who were calling for ceasefires, Fetterman became the Senate's single most vocal Israel defender, waving Israeli flags at protesters and dismissing critics at getting their worldview from TikTok. On immigration, he's acknowledged Democrats bungled border policy under Biden, supporting stricter asylum restrictions and Trump's border security investments. Again, this is a Democrat. I mean, these are shocking positions for someone who once championed comprehensive immigration reform. Former campaign staffers called his stance a gutting betrayal, while protesters dubbed him Genocide John. Yet polling shows his positions align with the vast majority of Pennsylvania voters, suggesting the shift reflects both personal conviction after confronting mortality as well as shrewd political calculation for a purple state senator. You see, what the ultra-left has yet to understand, that John Fetterman clearly does, is that our politics have realigned away from a hard left versus right horizontal divide to now a more populist vertical divide. The divide is no longer between Democrats and Republicans per se, since more and more people frankly see no difference between the two parties. They both seem to work for the same donors, same lobbyists. They both seem to cater to the same special interests. And so more and more voters, especially in Pennsylvania, see the real political divide as vertical. It's between the people versus the political class, the ordinary American versus the oligarch. And so that's why you see John Fetterman putting people before party, patriotism before partisanship. Ironically, it's Sunny Hostin and the ladies at The View that fail to understand this historical moment, this incredible political realignment that we're in. The political realignment is not coming, it's here. And the establishment's response isn't to change course, but to double down on the very tactics that got them here. That's why Fetterman's defiance, Schumer's collapse, and these confrontations matter. They're proof that more Americans are choosing honesty over narrative, even when it costs them politically. I don't know what John Fetterman is going to do from here. More and more of his own party are turning against him, all the while more and more Republicans are cheering him on and embracing him. Will he switch parties? Only time will tell. But until then, I believe we're going to continue to see the extraordinary transformation of John Fetterman continue, one that promises to transform us all.